Okay, so now let's continue. So on this one, there's your A's. We do know the gamma and the C go together. So you're going to have sine 10 over 9. And then looks like your B's go together. B and beta go together. Well, what's our first step? If we know our two angles, then get the third one really easy. 100 plus 10 is 110. 180 minus 110 is 70. So that's your first step. Okay, so now if we're looking for little a, that means we need the sine a to be on top, which was this was the sine gamma over the c. But anyway, we do what we know, and then the sine of the a is like sine of 100. And then we cross multiply. So we get a equal 9 sine 100 over sine 10. Nine sine 100 over sine 10. 51.041. We round to 2 decimal places, and so that's 5104. So there's that. Again, you cannot use the Pythagorean theorem because we don't have a right angle. So now we do sine 10 over 9 equal, okay, now we're with the b's, and that'd be the 70 degrees over b. So then cross multiply, we get 9 sine 70 over sine 10. So we go 9. Actually, if I want to be efficient or lazy, there it is, and change it. Lazy or efficient. 48.703, and so 48.70, because we round down. Okay, moving on. You're given two angles. Well, that means get the third one. 140 plus 10 is 150. 180 minus 150 is 30. Bam. Okay, so these problems don't have a triangle drawn, but you can still think of the C's as your pair of info. And so you can still say the C's with the A's, and then the C's with the B's. So that'd be sine 10 over 8 equal sine 140 over A. And on this one, we do sine 10 over 8 equal sine 30, which we know is a half, over B. Okay, so then let's do it. We got 8 sine 140 over sine 10, and we have 8 sine 30 over sine 10. 8 sine 140 over sine 10. This gives you 29.613, so 29.61. So that's that one. And then we highlight it, press enter, and then change this to 30. So we get 23.035, so 23.04. So make sure you don't make a rounding mistake. Now, if you also want to check your logic, oops, check your logic. Least to greatest, we had 10 degrees, 30 degrees, and 140 degrees. So the 10 had the 8, so that meant every side had to be bigger than 8. And then the next one we got was with the 30 degrees, which was 23.04. And the next one we got was the 29.61. So that's because this is the C's, and then the B's were the next, and then the A was the huge. So that's how that works. Okay, so now for number 8, this one we have this. So the A is the pair of informations. And so that means we do sine 80 over 9 equal sine B over 7. This time we're looking for an angle. So we work it like we did before with cross multiplying. We'd say do 7 sine 80 on top. And then let's do 9 on bottom. Okay, so let's do that. Now this is going to give us what sine B is. And what we really need is to find B. So we could do this all in one step if we say inverse sine of 7 sine 80 over 9. So let's do that, because that way you type it all in one step. You don't have to worry about potential rounding mistakes if you do everything at one time. Inverse sine 7 sine 80 over 9. Now notice I had to move to the right to get over there, and then this is 49.992. Now this is the first problem where the angle has to be rounded to 2 decimal places. This rounds the angle to 2 decimals. So don't make that 50. I know you'd be tempted to, but it would count it wrong. And in your homework, just correct it. So then now we know 2 angles, and so we'd say 80 plus 49.99 is 129.99, and then you do 180 minus 129.99, and we get basically 50.01. So barely below 50 and barely above 50. Okay, so that's your step. This is the first part, which is major, and then this is the second step. Now, on the third step, again, you can't use the Pythagorean theorem, and if we're doing C, let's see, our C angle is the 50. So we're having sine 50.01 over little c, and then sine 80 over 9. It doesn't really matter whether you put the pair of information in the front or the back. It doesn't, you know. We're doing 9 sine 50.01 over sine 80. So 9 sine 50.01 over sine 80. And so we get 7.001, and so this will just be 7. Now, 7.00. Now here's the thing. Since I have this answer printed, I know that usually, maybe always, when it's 82.25, there's only one triangle. Sometimes you might have two, sometimes you might have no triangles. So what we know is we know two angles and we know a side. What we don't know is if there are two triangles or one. So are there two triangles or one? That's the question. So if we go back to our notes, it says we also need to find if the second triangle exists from subtracting the first angle from 180, adding that to the given total, and if it's less, then the second triangle exists. And you have to find 3 more answers. So the first angle found was 49.99. We need to subtract that from 180. And we'll get our 51 or 50.01. And we need to add that to our given angle. Our given angle was 80. Okay, so before I do that, I remember in our notes we talked about b sine A, and little b was 7. Oh, so guess what? That means this is isosceles. With 7, with sides 7 and 7. Because technically these are so close that there should only be one answer logically. Okay, but if we do the math, 7 sine 49.99, that gives us 5.36, and we want to order them least to greatest. So talking about side lengths, 5.36, which was your b sine A, and then the next one is 7, which is b, and the next one is 9, which is A. So do that. And in this case, A is biggest. And so if we look over at our notes, if A is greater than or equal to B, there's only one triangle. So that's our case right here. So since A is greater than or equal to B, there's only one triangle. Since A is greater than or equal to B, there's only one triangle because 9 is greater than or equal to 7. Just greater than, really. So after all that, that's how you know there's one triangle, not two. Okay, that's going to be a good stopping point for this video.